Two families earn identical salaries, yet one feels wealthy while the other struggles. Same paycheck, same country, but every shopping trip tells a completely different story. Inflation is not merely national, it is profoundly local and intensely personal too. The official number says prices rose just 3% this year nationwide. Your grocery bill laughs and somehow rises 15% during the same period. Your rent joins the joke and doubles before the punchline even arrives home. Suddenly, statistics feel like fiction written by someone living comfortably somewhere else. Because in many ways, they absolutely are for millions of households today. Inflation does not strike every city, town, or neighborhood with equal force. It moves like weather, but some places live beneath darker clouds permanently. That difference quietly determines how far your money can actually stretch each month, and why some households feel trapped despite doing everything supposedly right financially. To understand this, start with a deceptively simple economic basket example. Economists track inflation using a representative basket of everyday household purchases: food, rent, gasoline, healthcare, utilities, transportation, and unavoidable necessities fill it.
Then, they measure how much that basket costs over time. When the basket becomes more expensive, inflation is officially recorded and announced. Straightforward in theory, much messier in real life for most families. Because nobody actually buys the exact same basket every single month. A retiree spends very differently than a college student just starting out. A homeowner faces different costs than a renter renewing another annual lease. Parents with children inhabit an entirely different economic universe from singles. Geography magnifies all of those spending differences even further over time. Rent in one city can exceed another city's entire monthly paycheck. Childcare in some regions costs more than university tuition for 1 year. Electricity bills vary with climate, regulation, fuel sources, and infrastructure. Insurance premiums change with weather, crime, demographics, and healthcare markets. Even identical cartons of milk carry surprisingly different price tags nearby. So inflation becomes a direct consequence of where everyday life happens. Housing is usually the single biggest reason prices feel unbearable first.
Shelter consumes the largest share of most household budgets every month. When rents surge, everything else becomes noticeably harder to afford. In fast-growing cities, housing demand often outruns available supply for years. New residents arrive faster than builders can finish enough apartments and homes. Landlords notice immediately and update prices with remarkable enthusiasm overnight. Tenants discover inflation through lease renewal emails arriving quietly. Sometimes their entire household budget is rewritten without their consent. Transportation creates another hidden divide between households living in different places. Some cities allow people to live comfortably without owning cars. Others practically require 2 vehicles for each working household. Fuel prices then hit like a second tax on daily life. Maintenance, insurance, and repairs add recurring financial surprises. A transmission failure can erase an entire month of carefully saved money. In walkable cities, that same household might barely notice gasoline prices. Food inflation also behaves differently depending on where people live.
Remote areas often face higher shipping and refrigerated storage costs. Weather disruptions can empty shelves and raise prices with startling speed. Urban competition sometimes keeps certain staples relatively cheaper. But restaurant-heavy lifestyles create their own surprisingly expensive habits. Healthcare costs widen the regional gap even more than expected. Insurance networks differ dramatically across states, employers, and hospital systems. One emergency room visit can cost hundreds or thousands more nearby. Prescription prices may match nationally, but insurance premiums do not. Utilities introduce yet another regional twist to affordability calculations. Hot climates demand relentless air conditioning during long summer months. Cold climates consume heating fuel throughout dark, endless winters. Water shortages increase rates in drought-prone regions under pressure.
aging power grids pass enormous repair costs directly to customers. The inflation number stays national, while the pain remains local. Wages complicate the story even further than headlines suggest.
High-cost cities usually offer higher salaries to attract scarce talent, but raises often lag behind rapid local price increases. Earning 20% more means little if rent climbs 40%. Bigger paychecks can quietly hide shrinking purchasing power on paper. That is the cruel arithmetic most workers eventually discover firsthand. Taxes add another unavoidable layer to each region's financial reality. Income taxes, property taxes, and sales taxes reshape affordability dramatically. Two households with identical incomes may keep very different amounts. One state takes more upfront, another collects more at checkout. Both systems present these burdens as perfectly ordinary. Government policy also influences local inflation in understated ways. Zoning restrictions limit new housing where demand is strongest. Utility regulations affect electricity and water pricing significantly. Transportation investments determine whether car ownership is optional or unavoidable. Subsidies and tax incentives shift business costs onto consumers. Small policy choices accumulate into enormous household consequences. Then, psychology takes over and reshapes how inflation feels emotionally. People notice prices they pay most frequently and resent deeply. Rent, groceries, and fuel dominate financial memory and dinner conversations. Falling television prices do not comfort rising childcare bills. Nobody celebrates cheaper electronics while skipping meals and prescriptions. Inflation feels worse when essentials absorb every extra dollar earned. That feeling is often mathematically correct, not merely emotional. National averages smooth out local extremes and hide painful realities. They blend booming metros with struggling towns into one statistic. They average luxury spending with survival spending as if equivalent. Useful for policymakers, but detached from kitchen table decisions. Central banks respond primarily to the national picture. Families live inside regional realities that diverge from headlines. And those realities can separate neighbors on the same street. One city experiences manageable price increases alongside strong wage growth. Another faces rent spikes, stagnant incomes, and punishing commutes. Both places appear beneath the exact same inflation headline. Only one group sleeps comfortably after paying every monthly bill. This explains why neighbors interpret the economy completely differently. One says inflation is cooling, another cancels vacations and prescriptions. Both households are telling the truth from where they live. Inflation is not one number. It is a highly uneven map, and your address may matter more than any headline. So, when prices rise, are you fighting inflation or simply your location?